Here in Menangle Park are the gates to AGL's most recent coal seam gas mining project. Located just 40 metres from the Nepean River, these wells spell potential disaster for one of New South Wales' most valuable ecosystems.
As a resident of Menangle, there was no notification whatsoever of the commencement of works. This happened without anybody being aware.
The Hawksbury Nepean supplies water to 5 million people, is used daily by hundreds of recreational anglers, and is a home for native animals. Coal seam gas extraction has been occurring in the area for up to 10 years, and more wells are on the way. The danger is that millions of litres of contaminated water are pumped up from the coal seam during gas extraction. This waste can mix with clean water sources. Dr Stuart Khan from the University of New South Wales says we do not know enough about the connectivity between rivers, groundwater and soft rock aquifers to undergo coal seam gas mining in such close confines to a waterway.
Some of those rocks, sandstone rocks in particular and sandy formations, hold a lot of water, and so we call those aquifers. If you need to drill down through different aquifers and then through the hard rocks that separate those aquifers from each other, then you're essentially drilling a connecting hole, potentially a connecting hole, all the way down to the coal seam. So once you start to get movement, there is potential to crack aquifers and to crack the confining layers between aquifers, and hence change the interconnectivity and open up pathways for water to travel and mix.
The river can also be contaminated through flooding and rainfall. After being pumped from the coal seam, contaminated water in its millions of litres is stored in open basins on site. Floods could send this water downstream along with hundreds of toxins.
We know that coal seams, first of all, contain a lot of salt. They're highly saline. You don't want a lot of salt to be spilt or dumped into a freshwater environment. So if you did end up with a large volume of salty water in the Nepean River, you would certainly have, it's already a very stressed river system, but you would certainly have fish kills and other impacts to aquatic species, not just fish, but some of the smaller zooplankton, etc. You would change the whole diversity, microbial and larger diversity in that riverway, by changing the salinity. But we also know that coal seams contain some very toxic chemicals, including chemicals that are very toxic to people. The classic one being benzene. And benzene is highly carcinogenic. It causes cancer in humans, in children and adults. And we have very strict water quality guidelines as a consequence of that.
And while highly unlikely, the impact of a large spill would be catastrophic.
It would be a disaster. If a large volume of coal seam gas water was accidentally spilled or overflowed into the Nepean River, it would have a big impact.
Meet Steve Defina. Steve has been operating the Nepean Fishing Tours for 10 years. Located in Penrith, Steve is upstream from the coal seam drills, which means that the event of a contamination could mean losing everything.
Oh, well, you know, I do fishing charters, so if it's going to harm the fish population in any way, it'll be disastrous.
Steve says that water contamination is already an issue.
It doesn't take much of an imbalance for the fish to start showing effects of it. You know, just with the amount of nutrients coming in, it affects the parasites that attach themselves to the fish. So occasionally you pull out fish that have got nasty looking sores on them. And it was getting really, really severe. And that's because of the nutrients they pour in the water from treated water and runoff from farms. And like I said, nobody seems to do anything about that. So if we get a major contamination, especially from coal seam drilling, I mean, who's going to do anything about it? No.
Stuart Khan and Andrew McDonald agree that we do not know enough about water to continue these unresearched methods.
Injecting stuff into a coal seam may not be the most sensible way of using the water supply, knowing that all the water that flows past Menangle ends up in Gosford.
If there is any possibility, even the minutest possibility of being problems, you've got to knock it on the head and do the research. You've got to look after it. You've got to look after it. I mean, it is a beautiful, wonderful place. And I want my grandkids to come down here and fish. and have fun. So risking that for the sake of a few dollars is just craziness.
Andrew McDonald says that mining needs to be proven safe before continuing, rather than stopped before proven dangerous.
You want to know that this technique is safe, and you'd want to know that this technique is very safe close to one of Sydney's major waterways, and the fact is they don't. They've got their fingers crossed, but they don't really. And when there's serious bucks involved, and there is very serious money involved, that's what actually happens. The money trumps the community.
But Steve's not giving up anytime soon.
I don't care, you know. I'll just keep fighting them because I love this place, and it's not just because it's my livelihood. I've been coming here for a long time and I love it, and I'll try and do everything I can to protect it. And I feel like it's being the only commercial operator really along here, I feel like it's my duty to protect it. You know, so what do? You just keep fighting.
AGL is unable to comment, but continues its drilling metres from the Nepean, with further plans to expand. This is Hannah Burzens from Get Hooked.